Welcome, everybody. Welcome. My name is Dr. Rappe. We're going to get started here in a few minutes. And I just wanted to say hi. And I'm not sure where everybody's located. We're in Southern California, out in the beautiful city of Leaky. And it's really warm out. And I think it's going to be 100 degrees tomorrow. And everything I've read says that hot temperatures are good for the coronavirus. So it's a good thing for us. Let me do this. If I could. I've done lots and lots of talks over the years, many talks, sometimes in restaurants, sometimes in my office. I've done a lot of these Zoom talks. We're going to do some Facebook Lives as well. But I like participation. So everybody has an opportunity where you can raise your hand when I ask a question. And so when I'll ask a question, I'll say, okay, so does anybody on here have issues with anxiety and stress? Raise your hand. There we go. Thanks, Tammy. I really appreciate it. All right, so that's how I'd like to do it. So if you can raise your hand, it helps me understand what's going on. I'm going to ask, anybody on here have diabetes? How about high blood pressure? Cholesterol? Elevated cholesterol? Obesity? Overweight? Obviously, stress and anxiety is something that everybody on here should be associated with because that's the topic tonight. But all of the other things I'm talking about, from obesity and diabetes and thyroid issues and autoimmune, they're all going to be related to anxiety and stress. Okay? So we're going to want to, I just kind of want to know. In addition to that, at the entire time that we're talking, the co-founder of Thrive Functional Wellness Center, my wife, Lori, she'll be on answering questions as we go along. She's a certified functional medicine coach, and so she is well-versed in everything that we do here. She's the engine that makes the business run, and I'm the scientist that makes the engine run as well. So that's what we're really going to talk about tonight. And so let's see, we're at 5:59. We got a minute. There's going to be some more people jumping on, I hope. We had quite a few signups. We got 10 so far. We're going to wait a little bit. And let's see. We'll leave that right there for now. I personally went and got tested. I'm still seeing clients in the office, still adjusting people. Adjusting the spine is shown through numerous studies that were done over the years that it does stimulate the immune system. So I'm still adjusting people. We clean the office after every patient. We're cleaning the tables. So I'm still seeing a few people. We'd like to see a lot more, obviously, because they need our help. And I'm sure everybody on here has been watching the news and seeing what's going on all across the country. Everybody's kind of getting cabin fever. Let us out. We want to go out and do stuff. And so I'm really excited about the antibody testing that's coming. They can literally test and identify whether you've had it or not. And that's going to be one of the criteria possibly to let people go back to work. And some of the other details they have to decide on how they're going to do that with regards to restaurants and seating and distancing. And so we're going to go, we're going to talk about all of that stuff as well. So tonight, the talk is really boosting your immunity and reducing anxiety and stress naturally. Again, my name is Dr. Rappe. I'm a certified functional medicine practitioner. I've been in private practice for 31 years, worked with literally tens of thousands of people over that period of time. I would say that we do a very large volume of functional medicine clients, and we'll talk about functional medicine in a minute as well. So right now, the services that we provide in our office are really highly sought after because now that the coronavirus has opened everyone's eyes to their susceptibility and the weaknesses in our communities and in our population base, it's opened up everyone's eyes to the fact that we want to have the strongest immune system possible. And there are a lot of these chronic degenerative diseases that are out there that are really minimize our immune system and make us susceptible. And I believe in Italy and some of the other places where there were hotbeds, the vast majority of people that died had cardiovascular issues, pulmonary issues, diabetes, they were overweight, inflammatory conditions. And so those are all chronic degenerative diseases that we can reduce and minimize and many times eliminate. So today is this. Coronavirus is here. We're dealing with it now. But what's next? What's next? H1N1 2, H1N1 3, right? Swine flu too. What's next? When is this going to happen again? So rather than be in the mindset of what can I do today, we need to be thinking about what can I do to build my immune system long term so the next time something like this happens, that my body is ready to defend myself. And that's really what our immune system is all about. So it's not about today, it's about starting on a program that's going to really help us maximize or supercharge our immune system to keep us healthy in case the next pandemic comes around, but also try to reduce my stress for today and my anxiety. A lot of people are stressed and have a lot of anxiety with being cooped up and what's going to happen, and is the food supply going to run short? There's no toilet paper. What am I going to do? There's just a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. It makes a lot of people anxious. Is my job going to be waiting for me or not? And so those are some of the things that we're going to talk about as we go through here. So let's do this. Let's click in. Let's go through some slides. We're going to be pretty fast and furious. I'll give you a little bit of my background first. My background being my little, curriculum vitae and whatnot. And then we're going to go through slides. The slides are going to go quickly. I don't want to bore anyone. I want to provide you with information about our healthcare system and how it works, and then fantastic people on the front line. It's called crisis care. We have the greatest crisis care system in the world. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about chronic care and what's the difference between the two. So what I like to say to people is, if you want a different outcome, you've got to do something different. If you continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting to wake up one day and be completely healthy, that's a fantasy. It'll never happen. You've got to be proactive and change the things that you're doing today so that you can be healthy and in the future. So again, I've been in private practice for 31 years. I graduated in 1989 with my doctorate degree. And since that time, I've literally traveled all across the country studying and training with some of the greatest functional medicine doctors on the planet, in my opinion. And so I have an extensive background in functional medicine, close to 1,500 hours of postgraduate studies. They include functional medicine, functional endocrinology, functional immunology, functional blood chemistry and metabolic testing, as well as functional nutrition. And so you can see that I've been at it a while. My kids will say to me, so Dad, when are you going to stop going to school? And for me, I look at them and I say, school never ends. If there's something new, cutting edge information, what I need to do is I need to have every possible arrow in my quiver to help the people that we accept as clients. And we're picky about who we accept. We'll talk about that as well. But so I have an extensive background in functional medicine. That's really what I do is functional medicine in this particular case. Functional medicine is different than your allopathic medical doctor. Okay, I'm not here to replace them. That's not my job. That's not what I do. I don't change anyone's medications. So that's something that you do with your medical doctor. My job is to take you by the hand and walk you through a very specific step-by-step process of how to rebuild your health from the inside out and maximize or supercharge your immune system. That's what we do. We've been doing it for many, many years, reversing diabetes, reversing heart disease, correcting thyroid dysfunction, leaky gut, IBS, diverticulitis, Crohn's, autoimmune conditions. I have an autoimmune condition, and so does my wife, and so that's really one of our fortes is autoimmune. But what really it's all about really taking your body and getting it back to where it should be. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So this is what we're going to cover. Let me get my there. COVID-19, America's healthcare crisis, how to boost your immune system and reduce anxiety and stress naturally, how to take action and boost your immunity and rebuild your health naturally. It's all natural. Everything we do is natural. Again, I don't change anyone's medications. That's not my job. And as we get you healthier and your blood markers change and you reduce and eliminate your symptoms, it's your medical doctor's job then to eliminate drugs. So if you stay on till the end, there will be a $200 gift opportunity for you from Thrive Functional Wellness Center. So I would hope that you'll stay on and hear everything that we have to say. Let me digress a second. The difference between functional medicine and what your medical doctor does is pretty straightforward. My goal and my training is all about what's the underlying cause of your symptoms. That's what it's all about. For me, what's the underlying cause and how can we resolve it using all natural methods? Whether it's blood pressure, adrenal dysfunction, whatever it is, I've listed off many, many things. 75% of all disease out there is considered chronic degenerative disease. Okay, it's preventable and therefore it's reversible. So what we want to do in functional medicine is identify what's the underlying cause and how do we resolve it using all natural methods. As opposed to my friends and colleagues across the aisle in the medical model, their job and what their training really is about identifying what are your symptoms and what drug do I give you to minimize your symptoms, and then you'll take that drug for the rest of your life. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, so the vast majority of drugs only minimize symptoms. They did never address the underlying cause. So there's the difference between what I do in functional medicine and what your medical doctor is doing. Is there a need for pharmaceutical drugs? In many cases there is. And let me give an example. I have a brother who's a year older than I am, and he had a double lung transplant in November. And his double lung transplant in November, he has to take drugs that suppress his immune system for the rest of his life. He takes them every day. They're trying to get him dialed in so that his body doesn't reject his new lungs. Those are the kind of drugs I'm in favor of. But when it comes to cholesterol, in most cases, when it comes to diabetic meds, thyroid drugs, high blood pressure meds, weight loss, stomach bypass, all of these different things that they're using for symptoms, I think we can do without, and we can do it naturally. So that's really what we're going to be doing here, is talking about functional medicine. Just as a precaution, this presentation is for information only. The information is not a substitute for your medical advice from your medical doctor. This information is not meant to prevent, diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions whatsoever. And if you're concerned about your health condition, please discuss it with your medical doctor or in the emergency department at your local hospital. COVID-19, signs and symptoms. Again, high-risk population, flattening the curve, and how to be proactive to take back your health. Right now, we don't have much control. The government, local, state, and federal all have control over what's going on with us. We want to take back control, and we can do that in the privacy of our own home, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So when we look at COVID-19, it's interesting is that more and more research that's coming out finally is showing that it has very much the same symptoms as the common flu. But you'll see here headaches sometimes, flu common. Aches and pains sometimes, sore throat sometimes, fatigue sometimes. Diarrhea is rare with COVID-19, so I'm not sure why the toilet paper was gone, but it was, and runny nose is rare. So you can see what we're looking at symptomology-wise. There's some similarities, but enough for us to be able to distinguish between what do I really have? Do I have the flu or COVID-19? The testing that's available now is pretty common out there, and so it's easy to contact your doctor and say, hey, I'd like to get tested. That's what I did. Chronic diseases in America, 6 out of 10 adults have one chronic disease, and 4 out of 10 have 2 or more. Remember, chronic diseases, that's the whole group of our population that's most susceptible. And the reason is because when we have a chronic disease, it's going to minimize or weaken our immune system. In addition to that, many of the drugs that we're taking that our medical model gives us for the chronic diseases are really meant for acute care, but they give them to us for chronic conditions, and they also can have a negative impact on our immune strength. And so that's another reason. If we look at what we've been trying to do, this whole flattening the curve thing, here's a great diagram. And this is what we've been trying to do, is flatten the curve. And it sounds like that's what we've done in some of the areas of the country. It sounds like we're over the hump. But let me get my picture out of the way. Social distancing, avoiding groups, minimizing errands, washing your hands, 20 seconds as often as possible. They've closed schools. A lot of people are working from home. Some people aren't working at all. We need to get back to work, and wearing a mask is really important. In my particular area, they won't let you into certain stores to shop even if you don't have a mask on. So these are just some of the palliative methods that they're using right now. What we're going to cover in the webinar. For those of you who just joined, I saw the number went up a little bit. COVID-19, America's healthcare crisis. Boost your immunity and reduce anxiety and stress naturally. How to take action to really boost your immunity and protect your health naturally. And for those of you who didn't know, I want you to stay on until the end. You can receive a $200 gift from Thrive Functional Wellness Center. Well worth your time. So America's healthcare crisis, in my opinion, Big Pharma is part of it. You've got to remember something. Besides the crisis we're in right now, for the most part, let's take COVID and put it aside. Big Pharma is interested in making money for their shareholders. So over the last 50 to 70 years, they've decided that developing drugs that only minimize your symptoms and don't correct the problem, and therefore you take the drug for the rest of your life, is what maximizes their profits at the end. And so they've really gotten involved in money making, and that's really it. They don't really care about, do you have high blood pressure and you have it for the next 40 years. They're interested in minimizing your symptoms so they can make money. Insurance companies and misleading information as well. The insurance companies, everybody thinks they have a health insurance card. You don't have a health insurance card. What you have is a crisis care insurance card, and it's for acute care. I mentioned this earlier. We have the greatest acute care system in the world. People come from all over for acute care here. If you were in a car accident, you cut your leg off, we can sew your leg back on. Take you to the hospital, they'll sew it back on. Save you from a heart attack, save you from a stroke. Acute care is the best in our country, number one. When it comes to chronic care, not so good. I think we're listed 37 throughout the world. But here's the real reason Big Pharma and the insurance companies and misleading information is so important. There it is. Look at that. My kids thought it was funny. It took me an hour to figure that one out. Big dollars involved. Big, big, big money right now. So just some statistics, and you'll see down here the CDC, 75% of the $2.7 trillion we spend on healthcare in the United States is spent on disease that are largely preventable. And I said this earlier, if it's preventable, that means we have to acquire it first. So preventable means that we develop it over time. Acute care fails with chronic conditions. We spend $425 billion a year on pharmaceutical drugs. I got a hair on my nose. Something's itching me. I apologize. I'm not supposed to touch my nose. Like I said, I got tested. I'm negative, so I'm going to rub my nose. It's bugging me. $425 billion a year on pharmaceutical drugs. Why is that important? I love this slide because it really shows you the magnitude of drug use in our country. We only make up 5% of the world population, but $425 billion in pharmaceutical drugs represent 75% of all the drugs manufactured on the planet year after year after year. So in my opinion, we're being over-medicated with drugs that only minimize our symptoms and don't really save our lives. When we look at the insurance companies, my opinion, the fault of the insurance companies is this. They want to make money. Don't ever stop making your premium payments or they'll cut you off. They're not teaching us. They are teaching us what we need to do to be healthy. They give you your card and they go, okay, and you just kind of stumble along hoping that you'll be healthy and wave your insurance card when you come see me. You say, I have a health insurance card. Well, I tell them, people, I said, that doesn't cover the right things. It's for crisis care only. It doesn't cover why we should eat organic foods. Organic foods are really important. If you look at this picture, there's a piece of fruit there. If that fruit came from Europe, there might be 2 or 3 pesticides on it. In the United States of America, they've done all kinds of studies across the country that a piece of fruit grown in the United States of America could have as many as 200 different pesticides, which are toxic, which cause metabolic dysfunction, which disrupt our metabolic pathways, hormone production, and the list goes on and on and on. So the small amount of money or the few cents more that it costs to eat organic, it's worth it in the long run. So by all means, I recommend people do that. But again, insurance companies don't advocate for that. They don't even talk about it. And lastly, my favorite subject, exercise. I'm an exercise fanatic. I always have been. When my gym closed, I set up my own little circuit training in my garage. I've lost 12 pounds in the last couple of weeks. I did a fast. I'm into this stuff. But they don't give us premium rebates for being in good shape and checking our blood and seeing how many times we go to the gym, and they should. Exercise is not only phenomenal physically, but it balances hormones, and it can really have a dramatic benefit for someone that has neurocognitive issues just over the horizon. Specific types of exercises are going to stimulate the growth of size and firmness of the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus in the brain. Prefrontal cortex, hippocampus in the brain. And those are the areas that are going to be associated with memory and short-term memory and the onsets of dementia. So as we exercise and we do certain things besides from the neck down, from the neck up, that exercise will also help us long term. And it's important to work it into your daily routine. Even 10, 15 minutes is better than nothing. Insurance companies also, what do they pay for? They pay for doctor visits, they pay for drugs, and they pay for surgery. That's really what they pay for. It's called acute care. Acute care. The problem is, in my opinion, acute care fails when it comes to chronic issues. Our system is dysfunctional because the medical model tries to use acute care therapies to treat chronic conditions, and it just doesn't work. And if you look at the statistics, and I'm going to talk about some statistics as we go through here, you'll see the evidence as I go through the slides. So this was really an interesting, so when anxious or stressed long term, it can weaken our immune system, leave us more vulnerable to viral infections. So I put this little picture up there because these are all of the things that some people are susceptible to out there that are causing them to be more susceptible to the virus. When a person experiences anxiety, it essentially is the fight or flight system kicking in. This is a doctor from Johns Hopkins. Okay? Some people tend to get sick more often in periods of high anxiety and stress. We see that a lot in our office. People will come in, they're under a lot of stress, and we're taking care of their spine, but they're still susceptible because their immune system doesn't function as well when you're in fight or flight for long periods of time. Mayo Clinic. Scientific evidence shows chronic stress and anxiety can weaken your immune system. Chronic stress and anxiety. Anybody on here have any chronic stress or anxiety right now, being all cooped up at home, wondering how are you going to pay your mortgage? Raise your hand so we can see. Let me get up here so I can see. There you go. Raise your hand. Excellent. There you go, Greg. Thank you very much. There you go. Thank you, guys. Man, I got something must be the cat. I was petting the cat at lunchtime. Okay. In addition to that, chronic stress and anxiety has a greater susceptibility to coronavirus because it's going to down-regulate or minimize your immune system. And we see that typically before Corona-19. We saw it during flu seasons. Okay, this is interesting here. Anxiety and stress are known to suppress the immune system's functions, and it will increase your susceptibility to the coronavirus. So we've got to work on our stress and our anxiety and minimize that even when we're in the quarantine lockdown. So what are the types of stress? 3 types of negative stress. We see physical stress, we see chemical stresses, and we're going to see emotional stress. These 3 are all going to be pretty common for everybody that's on here. Physical stress, we're not getting a lot of physical stress, although I have had a number of patients come in, their back flared up on them because they were doing a lot of yard work that they haven't done. They're in lockdown, they're fixing their yard, they're painting, they're doing around the house. That physical stress can also have a detrimental effect, not just structurally, but also on a chemical basis internally. When we look at chemicals, out here where I live, the wind has been blowing. And when the wind blows out here, we get a lot of dirt and particles up in the air. If you look at the air pollution in LA, I saw a satellite picture, and it was amazing the difference when no one was driving and when everyone was driving. And so chemicals are out there. We see them in the clothes. When we wash our clothes, we wash our hair, we brush our teeth, we put on deodorant, cologne. All of those things are going to have chemicals in it that can affect us physiologically and have a real detrimental effect on us. And emotionally, this one really fits in with today's environment, being in quarantine, not knowing what's going to go on, how am I going to pay my bills, who's going to take care of my rent, and all of those things. Are my kids okay? Maybe your kids my daughter lives in LA. Is she going to be okay? Is she going to be able to pay her rent? Is she working? So emotional stress and anxiety is happening to a lot of millions and millions and millions of people across this country. And it's boiled over. You saw a lot of people protesting the other day, driving their cars to the state capitol saying, let us out. We're done. We don't want to do this anymore. We want to get back to work. And so there's a lot of conflict out there emotionally and mentally. And it can really have a down regulation on our immune system. Symptoms of anxiety, risk of coronary disease. This was a study that I pulled up. It was interesting. It says the data suggests an association between anxiety and fatal coronary heart disease, in particular, sudden cardiac death. So just having an excessive amount of anxiety, being cooped up at home and not knowing where's my bills coming from, how am I going to get the money to pay, am I getting the PPT, am I going to get the loan to help me keep my business open? I've been in business 30 years. You don't think I have anxiety about losing it? Of course we do. And so those things can also, though, drive us to a place called sudden cardiac death. And none of us want that. I want to be around to see my grandkids. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States for men and women. And someone dies in the United States every 37 seconds from cardiovascular disease. That to me is absolutely amazing. And so if you look at that every 37 seconds, that's thousands of people every day. In addition to that, the American Heart Association has indicated in their research that says 80% of all cardiovascular disease can be prevented by reducing inflammation along with adopting healthy lifestyle behaviors. There's that key word, prevention. I've held many babies in my day, and not one of them had heart disease. Not one of them had diabetes. Not one of them had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, stress. I mean, they're not stressed. They lay there. They eat, they poop, they sleep. Okay? So these are diseases that we develop, and they're preventable. In addition to that, Dr. Su and his team also saw that people that were obese or had obesity and or diabetes have a much poorer immune response, meaning if you're overweight or obese, you're going to downregulate your immune system, and you are one of the people that's highly susceptible, not just to the coronavirus, but to any virus out there. Okay, so it's really important to keep that in mind as well as we move forward. It's not about today, it's about what am I going to be doing tomorrow, next month, next year to make sure that we don't suffer from another pandemic. Stress and anxiety can also fuel overeating. If you've had any overeating issues, go ahead and raise your hand. I've eaten more food since I've been at home, maybe more than I should. I'm usually pretty good. Thanks, Greg, for sharing. But overeating is a big thing. And stress unleashes, when you're stressed, it unleashes what's called a hormone called cortisol. Okay, and it can increase your appetite. So when I have a lot of stress, and we're going to talk about cortisol, it pumps out cortisol, and that can make me hungry. There's leptin and ghrelin and all these other hormones, but basically it causes a hormone imbalance, and I'm just going to eat whatever is in the house, period. So it's really important to know that we can overeat. So we've got to replace that with something else. Oops. We don't want to share, so I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. And there we go. Diabetic facts, 100 million Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic. Diabetes drives inflammation. Why is inflammation important? Well, diabetes drives systemic inflammation. Diabetes is the #1 cause of blindness and kidney failure. Heart attacks are 4 times more likely with someone who has diabetes because of inflammation. But elevated inflammation will also reduce or downregulate your immune system. So if your body is inflamed, your immune system is not going to function at optimum capacity. In addition to that, diabetes has tripled since the 1980s, and it's projected to triple again between now and 2030. So overweight, obesity, diabetes, they're all interrelated. Heart disease, they're all part and parcel to each other. And the key is this. I only put this down there about how it's tripled since the 1980s. It's one more scientific fact that shows you that using drugs to minimize problem isn't working. And our healthcare system is using the acute care therapies to try to treat chronic conditions, and it doesn't work. And this is an example of how it's tripled, and it'll triple again between now and 2030. The underlying cause is really called insulin resistance. And I believe, and there's a number of really well-known researchers out there that believe that insulin resistance is the cause for almost every disease out there. The pathologies that we see, insulin resistance can drive hormone imbalances, which makes you estrogen dominant, which has killed people. Many women have died from estrogen dominant cancers, and men from prostate cancer. But it can affect my thyroid. And when we get to the thyroid, you're going to see one of the main functions of your thyroid is to regulate and strengthen your immune system. So insulin resistance can downregulate our immune system, and that's not good for us. Along with, of course, all the other symptoms that come along with insulin resistance that are unhealthy and drive chronic disease. Prediabetes and diabetes, we're going to see an elevation in insulin, which means more inflammation. And when we have elevated insulin and inflammation, we're going to have a reduced or a minimized, weakened, or a downregulated immune system. That's not what we want. You may not have diabetes, but if you're going crazy eating lots of foods and comfort foods to soothe yourself, and snacks and candies and cakes and cookies and muffins and all that kind of stuff, your inflammation is going through the roof. Your immune system is going to be crashed. You're susceptible. We don't want that. This is really important. Stress, a lot of people are really stressed out right now. I think my wife and I handle our stress pretty well. We're in a small business. We're like everyone else. We want to make sure there's money to help us survive after 31 years. But when we are stressed, our adrenal glands are going to produce what's called cortisol. Cortisol can have, in elevated levels, can have a dramatic effect on our body in a lot of different areas. In this particular case, I just want to show you it can affect our pituitary gland and our TSH, as well as T4 conversion to T3. So it can affect all of this, the pituitary thyroid axis here. And remember, the pituitary and the thyroid are important for regulating our immune system. Stress occurs when life events surpass our abilities to cope. A lot of people are struggling with coping right now. And when that happens, your stress goes through the roof. We all look just like this lady in the picture here. And guess what happens? High cortisol, high inflammation, decreased immune system. Stress will decrease the body's also interesting. It'll decrease the body's lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are part of our white blood cells. And when it reduces or decreases our lymphocytes, that's what really helps us fight off infection. And that'll cause us to be at greater risk for virus. This came from a clinical immunologist. High cortisol levels will increase my stress and anxiety and depression. High cortisol levels can also cause levels of serotonin in the brain to decrease. Serotonin is the #1 neurotransmitter associated with depression, and it really comes from our gut. The vast majority of it is made for our gut. So when I'm talking about gut health, you're going to see there's a connection between my brain and gut health. We've had many, many clients come to us who were really severely depressed. The doctor had them on drugs. They gained all this weight because soothing themselves with food and overeating, cortisol levels, and we cleaned up their gut. We got all their organ systems functioning normally. They lose weight. They make enough serotonin. They no longer are depressed, and they're able to get off those horrible antidepressants. So it's really important to understand how cortisol and your adrenal glands can also affect you in this way. High stress leads us or can cause depression and anxiety, including an overworked or overtired immune system. This is Cleveland Clinic. So stress, anxiety, depression can really suppress and minimize your immune system, which means you're susceptible to the virus. And again, not just this virus, but the next one coming and the next one after that. So it's really, this whole event has really opened our eyes to the fact that we want to be as healthy as possible, and we've got an opportunity to do something about it. This is kind of the wake-up call for a lot of people out there. So again, here's the stress slide and how it's going to affect our thyroid. I just showed you that. Look at here. Here's your thyroid. What does your thyroid support? Big red letters. Immune system. Besides all of this other stuff, it's really amazing. Your thyroid is super important. It can be functioning normally, but the hormone that you're producing isn't being utilized properly, and therefore your immune system will be suppressed and you'll be susceptible to the virus. So it's really important that we are getting our thyroid functioning properly. Hippocrates said this 2,500 years ago, all disease begins in the gut. And I got to tell you, all 31 years I've been doing this, I believe that he's right. We really focus on gut in many cases. And you're going to see why here as we talk about this. It's common to overlook the health of our gastrointestinal system. In fact, 70% of our immune system is housed in our gut. Now, I just told you a second ago, there's a relationship between my gut and my brain. It's called the gut-brain barrier, or the brain-gut connection. It's really important. But 70%, for everybody on here, just think about that. 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Why is it important? Because a healthy gut protects us from infections and reduces our susceptibility to the coronavirus. Here's the gut-brain connection. This is Harvard Medical School put this out. The intestinal distress or gut issues can be a cause of or can produce anxiety, stress, and depression. That's because the brain and the gastrointestinal system are intimately related. And so clean gut, clean brain. Clean gut means clean brain, and clean gut means strong, strong immune system. Leaky gut syndrome. If anybody's heard of leaky gut, raise your hand. I want to see who's on here. So 50. Anybody have heard of leaky gut or have it? Raise your hand. 2 participants raise their hand. Fabulous, you guys. Leaky gut is real. Thanks, Tammy. Really, really common. 8 out of 10 people, they don't even know they have it. They just feel like crap. They go to their medical doctor, he runs a bunch of tests, and he says, hey, your lab tests are normal. And you're driving home in the car going, am I nuts or do I really feel this way? And I say, you really do. He's just not looking in the right area. He's looking for something he can give you a drug for. And what we want to do is look at what's the underlying cause of your symptoms. And in this case, leaky gut is really common. 8 out of 10 people have it. This is what it is for anybody that doesn't know. Normally the cells are held together really tight like this and create what's called a tight junction. When we develop leaky gut, those tight junctions open up and they're going to allow all the bad organisms, toxins, bacteria, viruses, undigested food particles, all of these things now are going to breach the barrier of our intestines, the intestinal barrier, which is only one cell thick. They're going to get into our bloodstream and they're going to cause a reaction, particularly with our immune system, and they drive what's called an autoimmune condition. So leaky gut can very easily lead to an autoimmune condition, along with the other little boxes down here, nutrient malabsorption, food intolerances, blood-brain barrier breach, which is important because they've connected leaky gut syndrome and the blood-brain barrier breach also with bacteria that's seen on scans that they're doing for Alzheimer's and looking for the amyloid plaque, as well as systemic inflammation. So if my gut's inflamed, my brain will be inflamed. That's going to lead to a whole list of cognitive dysfunctions. Healthy interaction between our immune system and our gut microbiota is crucial for us to maintain overall health and wellness. Our gut is super duper important, and everybody on here needs to start looking at their gut as this is the main thing that we need to focus on moving forward, is to clean the gut so that we can fix the remainder of our body. Remember, 70% of your immune system is housed or originates in your gut. Super important. So what's your medical doctor's solution when it comes to boosting immune system and reducing anxiety and stress? Well, I can tell you, I saw a doctor on one of the news channels. Young guy, looked like he'd been out of school for a couple of years. He literally said there's nothing you can do to boost your immune system. No supplements, no nutrition, nothing. And I was absolutely appalled. I sent an email immediately to that news network and said, you need to have somebody on there that knows what they're talking about, because you can literally go on PubMed and Google, or go on PubMed and you can look it up and it'll show you all the research that validates what we're doing and what he's saying is incorrect. But what does your medical doctor give you? Drugs, drugs, and more drugs. Now we all know, I know, and you know, you just haven't asked yourself that question. We know that drugs only minimize our symptoms. If anybody on here has taken any drugs, think about it. High blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, whatever it happens to be, if you've been taking them for a couple of years and they're not like saving your life like the ones my brother is taking, how long are you going to have to take them before they correct the underlying cause? That's the question you should be asking yourself, okay? Because they're never going to address the underlying cause. They're designed to minimize your symptoms. That's it. They're not designed to correct the underlying cause. We know that. And also, many of the drugs that people out there are taking will actually weaken their immune system. I mean, I did a whole PubMed search on all this stuff, and it was amazing and astonishing. Almost every commercial that I've seen on TV for a drug in the last 2 months, I've looked up, and every single one of them suppresses your immune system. And that's the last thing we need right now with this coronavirus. So the freedom to choose, this is really important because the choices are really the foundation for our health. And I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm not here to do that. What I'm here to say is, as you sit here today listening to me talk, I believe it's the choices that you've made in the past that really have established your health status today. And it's established your immune system, whether it's supercharged or whether it's weak. But the past, present, and the future, that's what our choices are all about. We can't do anything about the past. We can take today and look at our present status and say, I have underlying issues that I need to correct in order to supercharge my immune system for the future, because there will be another pandemic. Trust me, it will happen. Failing to take action and do something different leads to weakening immune system, meaning this: if you just fail to take action and do anything different and take any proactive steps at all to move forward and build your immune system on your own, then you're just going to continue to do the same thing. I said it at the beginning. If you want a different outcome, you've got to do something different. You can't continue to do what you did in the past because you're going to be susceptible to not only this virus, but the follow-up virus. We use in our office what's called the 3Rs program. I call it that because of this. 3Rs program is simple. We want to remove toxicities first. Toxicity weakens our immune system. We've got to eliminate that. Toxicity will also cause our metabolic systems to be dysfunctional. We've got to resolve the underlying causes, high blood pressure, diabetes, insulin resistance. We've got to resolve those issues to really supercharge the immune system. And then again, rebuilding that immune system from the gut out. Why? 70% of my immune system resides in my gut. That's the area of focus in order to maximize our immune system's ability to defend ourselves against the coronavirus or whatever is coming next. We also use all natural methods here. We don't use any medicines. It's all natural, everything that we do. Can we predict the future of your health? I say we can, and we're going to do that in a very easy and systematic way. I want everybody to understand this. Everything we do here is scientifically based. This isn't something that we made up. It's not something that I just conjured up in my head one day, mowing the lawn or golfing. This is scientifically based step-by-step process. And that's really what makes our program so unique and successful. First, we have to order all the correct tests. We order testing that your doctor would never order because his insurance company or your insurance company won't pay him. So we're going to order the tests that are necessary to identify what's really going on with you and what's the true underlying cause. Once we've determined that, we want to focus on cause, not symptom. That's the key. The medical model over there, the medical model is all about what are your symptoms. I don't care symptoms. I want to fix the underlying problem. So we need to correct the underlying dysfunction. We don't want to alter your labs with drugs. An example there would be someone who comes into me and they're taking a statin. And I look at their labs and I go, your cholesterol is 130. Yeah, isn't that great? I said, that's horrible. Below 150, you can't manufacture sex hormones. So those are phony numbers. They're not real. So we want to look at real labs and real numbers. In addition to that, we address the body as a whole. Everybody in here on this today, you're a whole body. You're a whole human being. We can't just say, let's just work on that or work on this. We want to fix everything because it's all interrelated. We use a systematic approach. What does that mean? We have a step-by-step, easy-to-follow process of educating our clients so they know what am I doing, why am I doing it, and what's my long-term benefit. And we literally take you by the hand and we walk you through a process to apply the knowledge on a daily basis. Because knowledge is only powerful if we apply it. If we just read a book and have knowledge and don't apply it, it doesn't mean anything. It's just in your head. So we walk you through this process. We also use mentoring and coaching. We're certified functional medicine coaches, and we use that here in the office to help people get over those humps. We see a lot of people that say they have failed repeatedly. They come to us, and because of the coaching and the mentoring and the fact that when we take clients on, they're like family to us. We do everything that we possibly can to help them become successful, and we have a very, very high success rate. So this is how we can predict the future of your health. The program is very straightforward. We're going to supercharge your immune system and make you stronger and less susceptible to the coronavirus and really build up that shield, because your immune system really is a shield against the outside invaders. We've got to clean up and clean, cleanse, and repair with a detox. Then we've got to teach you the proper nutrition. There's a lot of nutrition out there, guys, a lot. And a lot of it is pushed by special interest groups that don't have any interest in really your nutrition. They just have a certain agenda that they want to push. So we use scientifically based nutrition here. We teach you what to eat to be healthy, what to eat to supercharge your immune system, and what to stay away from that'll make you sick and help you to develop chronic disease. We don't want that. We also teach fitness. I mentioned it earlier. Fitness is really important. At home right now, you should be doing at least 30 minutes 3 times a week, if not more. It's really important. It stimulates your immune system. It's absolutely incredible. You should be doing it. We teach it. And hormones. In our program, we test everybody's hormones because we don't want hormone imbalances. Those as well are going to suppress our immune system. And lastly, we work with what's called the nervous system. The nervous system is really important. It's really important for that. There's those cat hairs. I apologize. The nervous system, again, neurotransmitters produced in the gut, serotonin affects my brain, susceptible to depression and anxiety. So it's really important to get the neurotransmitters in our body in balance as well. We know 94% of failure is due to not having a system. You've got to have a system, and you've got to have someone teach you how to apply it. Everybody here has read a book on how to exercise or how to eat or how to do something, but failed because they didn't have the mentorship and the coaching and a system to apply the knowledge. My name is Dr. Rappe. I mentioned that earlier. I am a certified functional medicine practitioner. I'm just going to brag a little bit. Very extensive postgraduate course, lots of testing. If you're going to go down this path, if what we're saying today makes sense, whether you work with us or someone else, if you're going down this path, you have to make sure, I'm begging you, make sure you're working with someone who not only lives this lifestyle, who does what they're teaching you, practices what they preach, but also has the educational background and the years and years of clinical practice to back up what they're doing so you can be successful. We see people all over the world. I show this slide. I've got clients all over the place, United States, everywhere in the United States, Canada, and Europe. So virtually, we've been doing what's called telemedicine. I call it telefunctional medicine. We've been doing it for years, and now they're just starting to catch on. So we can work with people anywhere in the country. We can order their blood labs. We do Zoom calls with them, just like we're doing right now. So we literally are able to work with anybody, anywhere. This is one of our clients.
My name is Jeff, and I'm here to talk about the 5 Wellness program. I signed up with it a little over a year ago, and before I signed up, I was diabetic. I weighed 290 pounds. I had high blood pressure, no energy. I was up 3-4 times a night. I was lucky I was sleeping 3 hours a night. So I was tired all day. I had brain fog bad. My son keeps telling me, like, you're repeating yourself, you're repeating yourself. I would tell him 4 or 5 times the same things. I would go to a job and not realize how I drove there sometimes. And I just noticed every day was getting progressively worse and worse. Best thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Rappe speak was genuine from the heart, and you knew they were here for you. So I signed up on September 1st, and 2 months into the program, I really started to notice a difference. I had a little bit more energy, and it was losing a little bit of weight. I just was noticing differences. And the best part about this program, I always have people ask me, like, well, what are you doing? What is it? Well, it's more than what I'm doing. It's the program, it's the testing, it's seeing what's wrong with you, analyzing it, giving you the proper supplements, and not only that, with the moral support. I mean, any questions you can email them, they respond, they answer your questions, and it's been great. And 5 months after my 5-month program was over, I went to my doctor, and my doctor basically took me off all my meds. She was astonished. No more diabetic, no more high blood pressure, no more cholesterol. Everything cleared up. I also had fatty liver disease, and that was like 3/4 gone, which when I went back in May, it's now my liver's normal. It's been such a phenomenal difference. I feel like I'm in my 20s, and I'm just speechless at how wonderful this program works and how I feel. It's been great. And the best part too is sure I've lost all the weight, but it's the energy, it's everything else I've gained with it. And the main knowledge that I've gained is how to look at my body, and I know what I can eat, I know what I can do, and not ignore those symptoms, whether it's inflammation or allergic reactions, and reacting to it. And this course taught me all that. And I highly recommend to anyone that wants to change their life, whether it's weight loss, whether it's just getting off their meds or anything. I've now it's just been just about a year. I've lost 104 pounds. No more diabetic, no more anything. energy level is through the roof. I can go down and get a new driver's license because no one believes it's me and my driver's license. So it's been a total 180 degrees. I weighed what I weighed in middle school, which is incredible because I've been heavy my whole life. But I highly recommend it to anyone if you want to change your life.
What an incredible story. Now, his program didn't last a year. His program lasted the length of time that I decided for him. I really built a curriculum around him, and then he continued it, and then we took these pictures after a year because he was so successful regaining his health. Ask yourself the following questions. What would my life be like if I was able to resolve my underlying health issues? How much stronger would your immune system be? Number one. How about my life? How's my life has been affected? How about this? My relationship, my ability to work, my ability to enjoy life and have fun. And lastly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to do something? In my opinion, everybody out there should be super motivated on a 1 to 10. They should be a 10 with this coronavirus. I mean, it's crazy. They shut down the entire country. So if you're motivated on a 1 to 10 scale, if you're 7, 8, or 9, we can work together. Absolutely. I take on clients that are motivated. I'm not interested in clients that are wishy-washy. Well, I don't know. If what we said today makes sense to you and you're in that higher level of numbers, 8, 9, or 10, then this is the right program for you, absolutely, without question. This is why I do what I do. My family is priceless to me. And I have a story, let me share quickly. When I was 6 years old, my mom got cancer and she was admitted to the hospital and she was there for 3 months. During that 3-month time, we never saw her. I have 2 older brothers and a younger sister. They wouldn't let us visit her. She came home at the end of that 3-month period for a visit. She was in a wheelchair. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. She had a scarf over her head to cover up the brain surgery she had, and she had sunglasses on. My brothers and I and my sister, we hugged on her and we loved on her like crazy. Unfortunately, they took her back to the hospital, and when they loaded her back in the car, all hell broke loose because we thought she was coming home for good. The interesting thing was I didn't realize till many years later, my dad explained to me that he had had a talk with the doctors and they believed that she was going to pass. And so they said, let's get her home so she can love her kids one last time. And that was the last opportunity for her. She died 2 weeks after that visit. So I believe that that's what set me on the path to become the health and wellness expert that I am, that drives the passion that I have to help everybody out there. Whether it's 5 or 6 people that come onto this talk or hundreds, I want to help as many people as I can, not only with my story, my passion, but also with my knowledge and experience of 31 years. Here's my gorgeous wife. She's a certified functional wellness coach. And what she's going to do is she's right now preparing. You probably got a text message for a free call. We're offering a free discovery call for us to identify if this is a good fit for you in our office. In that call, we're going to talk about what are you going through? You know, what's going on? How long have you had it? What have you tried in the past to address it? What medications you're taking? How long have you been taking them? In addition to that, we're also going to try to identify if myself, Dr. Rappe, or our team, really, if we can help you or not. We don't take clients that we can't help. I would never do that. I've never done it in 31 years. So if we don't believe that we truly can help you, we won't even go beyond this call. But this call is really important. It's going to help us. If, in fact, it looks like that we're a good fit, what we offer is a good fit for you, then we would prepare you to meet with me and do a Zoom call and go through what's called some paperwork to really identify what's going on, what are your goals, and what we need to do moving forward to help you achieve those goals. Very straightforward. That call is free. You can contact, here it is. All you got to do is cut and paste this, and it'll take you to a calendar, pick a time, and set it up. Lori is on the question and answers right now, so she'll answer anybody that has questions and answers about that. I got the itchy nose still. I apologize. I had a Kleenex here. That cat, it's those cats of mine. They're shedding because it's hot out. So that's what we want you to do. If in fact what you heard makes sense and you like what you heard, it makes sense to you, and you'd like to do a one-on-one consultation with me, skip the discovery call and go right to the doctor, we can arrange that as well. This is how we do it. We do a consultation with myself. We either do Zoom or in person. And from there, we're going to go over what we call a wellness curriculum, a length of curriculum. As I go through your paperwork, I'm going to customize a program that fits to you. This is not a cookie cutter. I'm not going to give you ideal protein. We're not going to do the same thing for everybody that comes in here. This is based on you and what's going on with you. From there, we're going to talk about a plan of action. If this is a good connection between you and I believe what we have to offer will work for you and that we can be successful, I would provide a plan of action. That means, what does it look like moving forward? The first couple of weeks, the month, the 2 months, we're going to go right down the whole path so you fully understand what a program would look like for you. That typically is going to take me about an hour, half an hour to an hour. So my normal charge for that is $287. But because you stayed till the very end, those of you who stayed, and some people didn't, and they did not receive the $200 gift, which is too bad for them, we're going to reduce that to a simple $87. So if you'd like to skip the discovery call with my gorgeous wife and talk to me directly, because what we said today makes sense, and you're really ready to do something different and supercharge your immune system and start to take back your health again, it's a simple investment of $87. The way to do that is Lori is going to be able to post, she'll post in the question and answer, she's going to cut and paste in there, take you to our website and show you how to sign up. You can pick a time, you can pay. We want to reserve a spot. Right now, we're really, really busy with what's going on. There's so much anxiety out there and stress over what's going on that we've been inundated with these Zoom call consultations. So there is space is limited, so don't hesitate. Just get on and do it. This could literally change your life, okay? So now is the time. It's really important. Take this moment. It could change your life forever. There's the calendar for the discovery call. Let me answer a couple of questions, and then we're going to have chat answers and questions and answers. Right now, let me just say this. The number one question I get is, why does your nose itch? Because I have 2 cats at home that are shedding. Okay, I'm just kidding. Do you take insurance? We do take insurance for the other things we do in the office, but not for our functional medicine program. Wellness programs are not covered by insurances. This is an investment you need to make in your own future. The cost of our program is affordable. We've never had anybody leave that could not afford a program. We have lots of different methods to pay for the program, to fund the program. We will do whatever we can to make it fit into a budget that will work for you. Our goal is to get people as healthy as possible. That's been our goal for 31 years, and we'll continue down that path. Do I have to eat weird food or do some weird exercises? No, absolutely not. There is no real limitations to our foods. We're going to eat all healthy foods. I prefer to eat at home because the food my wife makes, she's an amazing cook, is better than what you get in a restaurant. And so we don't eat crazy foods, and you don't have to do some weird exercises. None of that's involved. We do require you do exercise. Do you have to be local? No. I've told you earlier, I've worked with people all over the world, everywhere, Europe, Canada, the United States. We can literally do the work we're doing all across the country, just like I'm talking to you right now. It's very straightforward. So again, if what I've said today makes sense, I would really love to work with each and every one of you. I have a passion for this. It's my life. It's what I do. And so I really, really encourage you to at least get on a call, and then from there, set up an appointment to talk with me. Let's get your health back. Let's reduce and eliminate those underlying issues that you may have and supercharge that immune system. So not only the coronavirus, but whatever comes next won't have a chance in hell of affecting you and changing your life for the worse, okay? We want to do everything we can to be the best we can. I really appreciate you guys coming on here tonight. It really makes me happy, and the opportunity just to share what I do and what we can do for you has been incredible. Thank you so much. Now stay on, because there will be some questions and answers, and go ahead and ask. I'm going to say good night. Thank you very much. And if you'd like, share this information. It'll be up on our Facebook page. It'll be on YouTube. We post the stuff for any of your friends and family to watch as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.